Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and this is...
Autumn Garibay.
And this is...
Logan Garibay.
And today we are going to talk about Andrew Yang and maybe some other candidates and the absolutely critical occurrence that happened this week that we need candidate reactions from, candidate promises on, candidate plans for, which is Netflix passed Disney in value. Okay, the stock market is incredibly important. The stock market determines the value of public companies. Some people would contest that. Yeah, whatever. I think it's true. And basically, this last week, the stock market, through the market cap, said that Netflix was worth $1.87 billion. And it said that Disney, not Disney Plus, Disney was worth $1.86 billion on the market cap. Okay? So this is a measurement from the stock market. And what's important, the numbers aren't that important. What's really important is the stock market said Netflix is more valuable than Disney. That is horrifying from an American perspective. Okay? Now, America's government gets involved in business all the time. We bailed out banks in 2008. We bailed out Harley-Davidson multiple times. We have bailed out car manufacturers. We have the government every single day gets very minutely involved in food creation. Okay, to the point of like telling farmers destroy this food, make more of this food, sell this food, don't sell this food all the time. The entertainment industry has enjoyed a ridiculously stupid, unuseful, terrible period where the government has looked the other way. Entertainment is the new steel. Disney specifically is American steel. We need to understand this. It's absolutely critical. What has happened demands action from American politicians, from our candidates, our current candidates. Either ones who need to unsuspend and take action, or candidates who are right now presumptive nominees and need to take action on this. I have my own plan, but I'm going to let you two go first, or you can pass it back to me to go first for an example if you would prefer. Go right ahead.
All right, so I think that a lot of this issue is around an issue that isn't talked a ton about now, but I think is very pertinent, particularly between Netflix and Disney Plus. We're talking about all of Disney, but Disney Plus is now a bigger part of it than anything, and that's net neutrality. So I am not innately familiar with where things landed, but just by experience, watching Netflix and watching Disney Plus, you can tell things run a little better on Netflix. They have a bit better bandwidth.
They do.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, and now that we're all stuck at home deciding what to watch, and the options are every season of Friends or Cinderella with a 10-second lag, I think it kind of makes sense why Netflix has surpassed Disney here. Yeah. That's say all of the other things that Disney had going for them, like the parks, are now being interfered with by this coronavirus. And I think this is affecting a lot of stuff, and I know particularly academically for me. And it's tempting to be like, oh, this year will just be a blip for people's grades. But I don't know if you can say that for the stock market. This is going to make some pretty permanent changes. And if Netflix surpasses them, who knows if they'll be able to catch up. So my personal plan would for Yang to unsuspend and come back with a permanent solution to this net neutrality thing. And I think that would help out Disney by helping out Disney Plus, which right now is, I think, the biggest help they need. What about you, Logan?
Brilliant.
Yeah, I have some of the same thoughts as her. I definitely think part of Disney, they've been really harmed with their income, because like half or more than a half of their profit is from the movies, and currently we can't go to any movie theaters. So, and Disney Plus kind of substitutes for that, but it's not as hefty, or it won't do the job that well. So I do think that, well, Netflix is going to strive during this period, but once all of this is out and we can go back outside, Disney will just skyrocket above them, I think. But I think my point is that I think this is a weird time and that Disney will be completely fine afterward.
That's fascinating. Yeah, and actually, that's a really good point. I have some reactions to both what you said. So first of all, Logan, I totally understand what you're saying, and to your point, I talked about the numbers, and the reality is when Disney, like Disney been making movies since the 40s. They've made Disney. I can't tell you how powerful Disney is. All right, Netflix is a tech upstart. Right, they're common as dirt. They really are. Okay, it's just a tech company. Right, Disney is not just a tech company. They have well over half of America's most famous, most valuable, most iconic, most world-impacting intellectual properties. The value on Disney, what Disney owns, is can hardly even be calculated. The idea that anybody would think that Netflix is worth more than Disney is outrageous. And it really does need intervention from the government, because it is a ridiculous statement. The idea that Netflix would be more valuable than. So why on earth did this happen, right? How could we get a tech company and then, more valuable than a company that has been making movies since the 1940s and has owned the top notches of entertainment for close to a century, right? For 80 years easily. Well, the way we got here is two things. So exactly to Logan's point, we have a situation where the Disney parks are a huge problem for Disney. They are burning cash. I've heard numbers that they are losing $30 million a day, right? That is massive, right? That is a huge problem because they have these theme parks that are attached to their business, right? Netflix ain't got none of that, right? And it's just like they don't have that problem. The other problem is Disney, they know they're a balled out American company, and from everything I've read, they've leveraged to the hilt. They have a lot of debt. And so that really hurts them, right? Now, the reality is Netflix has a lot of debt too, but in the tech world, you burn to earn. It is not a problem to have debt in the tech world because of Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos lost money for 20 years. I'm not sure Amazon has ever publicly announced making $1 in profit, right? So, losing money in the tech industry is part of the business. But in the real world, in the non-technical world, Disney has some real problems. Like this is that, and so that's why it's bounced up this way. But Disney is way more important than Netflix. I went to Disney, the Disney parks. My parents took me when I was a kid. It is one of my greatest shames as a father that neither one of you have ever been to Disney. I really feel bad about it. But literally, I want you people to understand this. This is part of an American family's choices. And not just American families. Families all over the world make this choice. Do we want to go to Disney as a family, or do we want to buy a car? That is literally the choice I've had to make every single time. And every time I come to that number, I'm like, oh, I can't spend the money we would use to buy a car to go to Disney. Right now, that tells you a lot. It tells you that the cars the Garibays buy aren't that good, and Disney's are pretty bad. But Disney vacations are expensive.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Just go to Hershey Park. It's way better.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So that was a great comment. I actually had. Did you want to jump in on what he was saying, or have anything there before I comment on yours?
Yeah, I have a comment on this. May I pose just the thought that is this that bad? Does Disney need to be at the top? You're absolutely right. Yeah. They have been king of entertainment for years and years and years. However, them not being at the top gives room for Netflix, for Dune, for I think for a lot of other companies to enter that space.
Yep.
And while Disney's a big loss, I'm excited to I don't think entertainment will be at a loss. I think other people will step up to make the compelling content that Disney once did. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think I just want to put this out there. I think like last year, 2019, I think Disney, say something if I'm wrong, had like 51% of the whole movie profit, like overall, like all the money made from movies. Disney was 51% of it, like half. So,
yeah, I think people could definitely argue that it's a bit of a monopoly, and Teddy Roosevelt is probably pumping his fist for every dollar they lose.
Great point. I have an answer. Go ahead.
But about that statistic, a lot of other movie studios don't really have a big impact, really, because Disney is just so dominant.
Yeah.
And so they don't have... their movies make a lot less. There still are, like, amazing movies that make a lot of money, like Joker or something. Yeah. But, completely not as much.
Right.
And I do think it would be... I don't know if it would be a benefit for them to be out of the scene or not. So
that's a great point. Joker is a fantastic point. Joker is a non-Disney movie. It's one of the... last year in 2019, to my knowledge, Joker was the only $1 billion movie that Disney did not make. And Disney had like 7. It was nuts. Like absolutely crazy how dominant Disney was. Does Disney has to be at the top? Yes. 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 Those parks are incredibly important. It is an iconic American vacation, right? You work and then you take your kids and you all go together and you have a terrible time and you never forget it, or you have a great time and you never forget it, or like Scott Garibay, you're too poor to take your family to Disney. I have never taken my family to Disney. I don't think we'll ever have the money to, because I don't see us getting to the point where I'm like, oh, we could use this more than another car. Like, it's so expensive, right? And we're also good at buying cars, so we get good cars at pretty low prices. So, you know, and we never have enough cars because we got a bunch of kids who keep wanting to drive. So, so it is a point of shame. And the thing is, I think we need that real life goal for mothers and fathers, for fathers and fathers, for mothers and mothers to take their kids to this iconic American thing. And here's why. Netflix got nothing on it, right? Netflix is just another tech company. It doesn't impact real life. It doesn't make memories. It doesn't craft your world into an American iconic moment, right? Those parks and the fact that they have them, and there are these parks attached to the intellectual property, is outrageously important. And guess what? America sets the pace, right? Like, America, it is like 75% of all the cool things in the world happen here, right? And if we're not setting the pace with a company like Disney, and since there's nobody balling at the level of Disney, it needs to be saved. So we got to jump to my plan for this. Andrew Yang Unsuspend, okay? Andrew Yang immediately says, when I am president, day one, I will give $10 billion to Disney. They will build a new park in the center of America, in the heartland, right? That's jobs, and it'll all be government funded. Disney will be allowed to brand it with their, with their specific IP, and it will be a government and corporate combined item. But the reason why we're doing it is we actually need tons of jobs. There's close to 30 million people unemployed. And even knowing that those jobs will be waiting for them will give people hope. And then it also is telling the world, the American government will not let the theme parks die. They will not do it. And it's telling everybody, we are going back to the old world. We're going to gather as people. We're going to act like human beings. We're not going to act like scared lizards, like skittering around and making sure there's a bunch of distance between us. We're going back to a regular world. It's important. Andrew Yang should unsuspend immediately and put this plan into place immediately. You guys did such a great job with your content. No need to respond to mine. Do you guys have any other closing issues before we're going to do a quick fun bumper? But any other politics before we go?
I think this whole Netflix situation with Netflix being over Disney is kind of like a huge wave coming to the shore. Like, oh my gosh, it's super high, and then like the next moment, woo, it's gone. I really don't think this is that important, and like, this won't happen for a long time. Like, I don't think much, like, concern should be pointed to this. Because Disney's just going to rise up, like, 4 months later. I don't think it really matters. And I do think your park idea is a little bit off. I know I'm a little bit skeptical on the whole Unsuspend and the whole $10 billion plan. But I do think in the center of the country would be a good spot because a lot of people in there are kind of deprived of all the coast attractions, like parks and movie theater, all that.
Absolutely. Great point.
And I do think that could be useful, but I think Disney could kind of do that on their own. But that's my take.
Yeah, that's all I'll say. That's a pretty crazy idea, and I'll raise you a crazier one because I'm still kind of on my down with Disney soapbox, and I think Andrew Yang could do a similar thing where he sees this discrepancy between Netflix and Disney and recognizes Netflix as the new king of entertainment, and we don't have to, but to not lose those great American memories. Why not lean into that? Why not make a Netflix theme park with a Dragon Prince roller coaster and a Friends themed cafe?
Nice.
Of course, lots of complications there, less so than another Disney park. But that's what it would be. Another Disney park. Go to Florida. Go to where's the other one? California.
Yeah.
So that would be my idea. I do think Yang needs to unsuspend with something crazy. I think a theme park would be a great one of it. But I would suggest a Netflix park because of their support their victory, support their rising over Disney in the stock market. I'm still not convinced it's a bad thing. However, any theme park I would be thrilled with. So I like your idea as well.
All right, so I'm going to announce the fun bumper to you two. I'm going to say one more thing about what you just said, and then we're going to shoot down the low, and we're going to give everybody our #1 recommendation for something to watch on Disney Plus, our #1 recommendation for something to watch on Netflix. Here's my response to what you said. That's a brilliant idea. I love the idea of Netflix theme parks. And I just want to say to you, if you think for 1 minute that I'm wrong, that the government should be getting involved on entertainment companies, you are not paying attention. The scale of them is absolutely massive. We talked about the impact of Disney parks today, and you're absolutely right. One in California, one in Florida. But what we didn't talk about is there's one in Europe, there's one in Japan, and there's other international Disney parks. Like the scope and the impact and the memories and the real families as vacations, moments that will never be forgotten. You cannot underestimate it. I truly think Andrew Yang should unsuspend and do that plan. I love that idea about a Netflix. I don't think he should help them with that. They should spend some of their own money on that. So let's shoot through. What is your #1 recommendation for something to watch on Disney Plus? What is your #1 recommendation for something to watch on Netflix?
Yeah, so Disney Plus, I check out their entire shorts sketch section, but particularly Wind or Wind is a very touching one. For Netflix, I'm a big fan of sitcoms and stuff. I know I mentioned Friends already. I'd skip that and maybe watch Community. Yeah.
Fantastic. #1 best thing on Netflix is a show called Voltron: Legendary Defender. It is absolutely amazing. Definitely watch that. And for Disney Plus, the movie Timmy Failure. This year, the Oscars are going to be screwed up. I don't think you're going to be able to hold the Oscars normally. And I think this year they should allow small screen movies to be considered for Oscars. And I think Timmy Failure should win Best Director, Best Actor, Best Writer, Best Scriptwriter. What do you got?
For Disney Plus, I think I'm going out of order. But for Disney Plus, I think it would be, for me, Penguins, Disney Nature.
Yeah.
Steve.
Great. Fantastic.
Cutest thing I've ever seen.
Super good.
It's really good. I've watched it. I don't think these two have. But
I saw Steve. What about your Netflix one?
And then my Netflix would be Dragon Prince. It's a really good fantasy
Great pick.
show. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for letting us share these ideas with you. What do you think? What do you think Joe Biden's response to this should be when he wakes up And then also, what do you think Andrew Yang's response should be? I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much for letting us share this with you. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.